All right, sounds like it's working. So here's what we're going to do. Let's go right into it. And so if any counselors show up while this is going on, I'll introduce them. But for the record, my name is Ricardo Arroyo. I'm the District 5 City Councilor. I am the chair of the Boston City Council Committee on Public Health. This hearing is being recorded. It is being live streamed at boston.gov City Council TV and broadcast on Xfinity Channel 8, RCN Channel 82, FiOS Channel 964. Today's hearing is on Docket 0811, which is a message in order authorizing the City of Boston to accept and expend the amounts of $480,000 in the form of a grant awarded by the Boston CHNA CHIP Collaborative to be administered by the Office of Health and Human Services. This grant will fund a citywide community health needs assessment, which is the CHNA, and Community Health Improvement Plan, which is what CHIP stands for, process. And we're joined today by Martha Rivera, who is the Health and Human Services Chief of Staff, who will answer a very short amount of questions. For anybody who is watching this and trying to figure out what this is, the Boston Community Health Needs Assessment, or CHNA, and the Community Health Improvement Plan, which is CHIP, Collaborative have awarded this grant, which will fund a citywide community health needs assessment and community health improvement plan process. That plan would provide a detailed roadmap of achieving racial and ethnic health equity with recommendations for action and partnership on each of these priorities. Those priorities being housing affordability and access, economic mobility, mental health and behavioral health, and accessing services. Last year, I declared, along with the City of Boston, racism as a public health crisis. And so this certainly seems like it would go towards addressing sort of the concerns that the data and equity issues that we saw with that. And so with that introduction, I'm going to kick it over to Martha Rivera to give a little introduction and then answer a question or two, and then I believe we'll be concluded.
Thank you, Councillor. And you are correct, this fits squarely into that. And I think there is, I'm not sure if someone's going to pull up the slide deck or if I should pull it up.
If you have the capability to pull it up easily, that would be helpful.
And we're just waiting for a slideshow right now, correct?
Okay, are you able to see my screen?
Yes, I can see it. Perfect.
Okay, great. So as you explained, Councilman, thank you, you did that very well, better than I could have. The CHIP and the CHNA are part of the process, the process that is expected of the community health centers and the hospitals and local board of health and public health commission. And through this needs assessment, they in this process, they essentially determine what the needs are in the area and they come up with a plan for how to address those. And historically and typically what they do is they do this individually. And several years ago, as you can imagine, several hospitals, however many we have in Boston, and our local board of health throughout the years have done this individually. And essentially the community residents and CBOs, after having to engage in so many focus groups and surveys, it's exhausting. And They, several years ago in 2017, it's 2017, 2018, they decided to come together and do one process. And so they formed the Boston Collaborative, the Boston Chinachi Collaborative. And I'm going to go through this quickly, but I'm not giving this process. I have to apologize to all the people that put so much time and effort into this. There is a website that gives a little more background and talks about the principles and values. And I encourage people to look at it because there was so much work that went into it. And the Boston Chinook Collaborative has a set of principles and that are outlined, and it includes CBOs, stakeholders, community health centers, hospitals. And so through that process, again, they came together and did an extensive community process that resulted in the China and the chip that we have today. Here. And so once the community health needs assessment was completed, and the 4 priority areas that resulted that again you mentioned were identified, they embarked on, from those areas, developing the chip. And sorry, backtracking. So they identified the needs, and then they went into the chip planning process. And that was in 2019. And then they released an RFP, and we're looking for an organization to essentially implement the chip. And that's how we got to HHS getting the grant to implement the chip. And of course, the pandemic has slowed that timeline. So by now we should have been in the place where we would be implementing the plan and have hired staff. And we're hoping to be able to catch up on the timeline. And so that's what this grant is essentially, is to be able to hire staff to implement the plan that came out of this process that has been several years coming. The role of HHS in this is going to, as I mentioned, we'll hire a couple of staff that are going to be, they'll be City of Boston employees. They'll be working with HHS, and HHS in collaboration with the steering committee will, on a high level, work to drive the plan, implement it. Will also be part of the steering committee, as well as this public health commission will continue to be on the steering committee of the collaborative, and will provide guidance on it. I just wanted to highlight a few opportunities of this unique opportunity, or sorry, the unique partnership, is that having this HHS as the backbone provides an opportunity for broader reach with the chip, broader accountability, because we're able to, through all of our departments, all of the city departments, city partnership stakeholders, engage all of our constituencies, leverage our expertise, leverage our partnerships. There is an opportunity for collective action, and of course, there is our mutual desire for aligning our values and our priorities. And lastly, just on the budget, the entire $480,000 is for the salaries and fringe, and that is for a 2-year commitment for, again, the implementation of the chip. So I'll stop there. That's pretty much what it is in a nutshell.
So thank you. Do you have anything else you want to add, or are you done there?
No, that's it.
All right, perfect. I think you answered both what this will fund and what the timeline is. One last question is, are the CHNA and SHIP reports generated in alternate years? Will any of this funding go towards a 2021 CHNA and SHIP report, or just one total?
I will have to get back to you on that. So so you mean for this one coming up now?
Yeah. All right, that's fine. Yeah, if you get back to me on that, that's perfectly fine. I don't have any other questions. Obviously, this is a great thing, so I'm going to support and recommend its passage. So I just appreciate you being here to present to the public sort of what this money is and where it's going. And if any counselor sends me some question, I'll send it over at that point. But thank you so much today, Martha.
Very welcome. Thank you.
And that's with that, I'm going to adjourn this meeting. Thank you.